Welcome back to Second Art with Seth. I got the art, you got the Seth, and Happy New Year, Happy Jubilee Year. It's Pilgrims of Hope, so yay, that's cool. And Notre Dame got restored, built back up again. I was in eighth grade in art class when that happened, and my art teacher was bawling on the floor. So that's that's awesome. I'm so glad that's back. Um, Today's painting is The Last Judgment by Michelangelo. And firstly, history and context. It was painted from 1536 to 1541 by Michelangelo, and he was picked by Pope Julius II to paint it. And in the beginning, they didn't even know that they were going to paint the Last Judgment. They didn't decide yet because it's an altarpiece, and most of the altarpieces back then were originated from older times, from medieval times, and medieval times were kind of like dark, medieval. So they had a lot to pick from, but they wanted just to fit the right tone with Notre Dame, which is understandable with all the dark altarpieces because they're kind of known for that. It's like Gothic, catacombs, all that. So finally, after sifting through a bunch of things, Michelangelo and the Pope decided to pick the Last Judgment. Michelangelo was friends with another guy named Sebastiano del Piombo. They were friends for 20 to 25 years. Strong friendship. And both were painters, but Sebastiano had a different style of painting. He used oils and plaster, while Michelangelo did fresco, which is kind of like watercolors. And Sebastiano, Sebastian, I'll just say Sebastian, recommended to Michelangelo and the Pope. He was like, "Hey, you should do oils and plaster. I think it'll look a lot better." And Michelangelo was pretty much like, "I rather die." He was very offended that Sebastian even said that to him. And then Michelangelo went on to say, painting with oils and plaster is an art for women or for leisurely and lazy men like Sebastian. And he ended the friendship because of that. As Michelangelo was getting close to finishing up the painting, a lot of people had a problem with it because of all the nudity across it, and they said it didn't conform to the decorum. And one of those people was the Pope's Master of Ceremonies, Biagio de Siena. And when he walked in, he was like, "This painting is so disgraceful for being in such a sacred place because of all the nudity. It more likely deserves to be in a bathhouse or a tavern." Michelangelo didn't take this lightly, and he began to draw Biagio in the hell section of the painting as Minos from the Divine Comedy. And he gave him donkey ears because he was foolish. And then he painted a snake biting his nether regions because that's what he used to think when he saw the painting. Biagio came back and, as any other rational person would, didn't like it. And so then he went back to the Pope and whined and was like, "Michelangelo painted me as Minos from the Divine Comedy and gave me donkey ears and had a snake biting my nether regions." And the Pope, super cold to this, he was like, "My jurisdiction doesn't reach beyond hell," and left it. And the Pope was ridiculed for this for a while at the time, but he stood his ground, and that's why we have it today. And if you care to check out more about all the history just behind the painting, not even just in the painting itself, please go further and check it out. It's really cool. There's so much Renaissance tea, so much Renaissance drama. But now we're gonna dive right into the painting. The point of the painting is that this is what we think it might look like on Judgment Day or the second coming of Christ. That's the main point. The overall, looking at it, your first thoughts, boom, Last Judgment. That's what we see it as. Two, all the faces are very important. Jesus and Mary, poised. Angels, I would also say poised. They know what they're doing. All those in heaven, shock and awe. All those getting pushed into hell, shock and awe. All of those ascending into heaven, shock and awe. Just the attention to the faces and the attention to the musculature too is very cool, very important. And the people up in heaven specifically, you got John the Baptist on the left, who has the loins, John the Beloved on the right, and you also have Moses. And now we have just a whole bunch of martyrs. We have a bunch of martyrs. Saint Peter, Saint Lawrence, Saint Andrew, Saint Bartholomew, Saint Sebastian, and Saint Catherine and Saint Blaise. Saint Lawrence is my favorite because he was barbecued alive. He's holding a gridiron, which is what he was on, and as he was being barbecued, he said, "Turn me over. I'm done on this side." That's crazy. I just think that's crazy. And also another thing with Saint Bartholomew, there's a specific thing about him. He was skinned alive, and he is holding skin between heaven and hell, which is important because Michelangelo put his face onto the skin of Bartholomew because he doesn't know whether he's going to go to heaven or hell. Because we've been saved, we're being saved, and we hope to be saved. Also, the positioning of St. Lawrence, St. Helena, St. Velna, Veronica, sorry, and St. Longinus are all positioned a specific way around Jesus, which I think correlates to the statues in the Vatican of them, because that's the way they were also positioned, because those are the relics that the Vatican has of them. And also verses in Philippians and Corinthians speaks of how we get our bodies back at during the second coming or judgment day. So there are people who have died and their skeletons coming out of the ground, either rising, which you can see the ones that have already risen because of the certain cloth that all of them have been wearing, or the ones that are being pushed into hell that have also already died. And lastly, a few honorable mentions. I want to say the reference to the River of Styx, the angels carrying the crown of thorns, again, the musculature on the people. It's just crazy. It's wild. It's crazy how well Michelangelo did that with watercolors. Once again, I'd like to reiterate that people didn't have internet back then. They used these paintings as a way of learning and getting a deeper understanding or understanding the severity of certain aspects from the Bible. Because also, people couldn't read back then. Anytime they actually ever heard scripture from the Bible was in mass from those who could read. So whenever they saw all these paintings and all the other paintings that I'm going to cover, they look at it and they have a deeper understanding of it rather than not having anything to look at and just waiting for the next Sunday to hear the scripture. And again, Sacred Art is like just a really beautiful, big book. And every time you look at it or just look at it a little deeper, it gives you a new chapter. I'd like to thank y'all so much for getting this far, or at least watching this far. Thank y'all for at least watching the videos that I've been putting out. And also, thank you to my lovely girlfriend, Skylar, for making a SAS shirt for me. I love it. I'll put the back up real quick right there if y'all know what that is. But again, I'll try and upload more. I always have technical difficulties every time, but I push through. I get these videos out. So again, please leave in the comments anything that I did good, anything I need to do better, and any sacred art that I should cover. Again, thank you all so much for watching. See ya.